Hey, everybody, welcome to the Nation, Barbecue Nation. I'm Jeff, along with my co host, Leanne, Hall of Famer, I might add, coming to you from our respective Turn It, Don't Burn It studios on the West Coast and the East Coast down there. And we're very thankful that you're with us today. We would like to thank our sponsors, Painted Hills Natural Beef, beef the way nature intended. You can go to paintedhillsbeef.com and check out everything about them. Well, we've talked to our friend today who's on the show with us before a number of times over the years, and I always enjoy talking to him. Noah Glanville is with us from Pit Barrel Cookers, and we've got a lot of things to talk about. And first of all, welcome.
Yes,
Thanks, Jeff. And
welcome.
yeah, thanks, Jeff and Leanne. Great to be back on the show. Appreciate you having me on.
Not a problem. We always enjoy it. So, general question here, Noah, what's going on with Pit Barrel Cookers these days?
Gosh, what isn't going on? We're getting ready for barbecue season. Traditionally, the traditional barbecue season, things are starting to warm up in some places in the country, and it doesn't take long for people to get out and start grilling. You've got the smiley face states, that are always grilling,
Yeah.
but as we call them. But yeah, a lot of other places are starting to get going. Things are warming up. People are thinking about grills and making sure they've got all their accessories and looking at different things and videos on food. So it's an exciting time in the industry.
It's probably a welcome time too, isn't it? After I don't want to say dormant winter, but because no businesses ever go dormant during the winter, but half this country is above the snow line, so to speak, from November to April. And when that starts to dissipate, I'm sure the numbers start to go up.
Sure, we do see a dip, but one of the unique things about our product is it does cook a really good turkey and prime rib. So, we've got that solid core, traditional barbecue season, but then towards the fourth quarter, you get a really good bump in sales on one, just a lot of people exposed for the first time seeing a turkey cooked at Thanksgiving or Christmas, and then it follows up with Christmas gifts and things like that. So we kind of punch right through, but it does slow down a little bit. And really right after Super Bowl is when it kind of dies down, and that's a good time to take a vacation, do a little bit of cleaning and tuning up, and then get ready for spring again.
Mm-hmm. Now, you came out with a new product last fall. I was on your list there, Badger Barrel. That's kind of an offshoot, a different design. I don't know how many people have that listen to this show are familiar with it, but maybe you can give us an idea about, one, how you came up with it, and two, why you came up with it, and three, all about it.
Sure. So yeah, Badger Barrel's a really exciting project, and I say project. It's not just a product. It's a brand that really stands for something. And to kind of answer the third part of your question, why it's everything that the Pit Barrel isn't, and people wanted it to be. We really, our brand has always strived on good price point, good value to the consumer. My business motto is always, before making any business decision, ask what's best for the consumer or the customer prior to making that decision. And usually you make the right decision as far as manufacturing, things like that. So this product we wanted at a really good price point. It is a lot thinner gauge. It's lighter. It's not, it's definitely not built like the Pit Barrel, but it's something that is a lot of fun. And it's also something that we're really skating on the line of thick skin, sense of humor. And, it really is, it's a brand that, when you have something that is absolutely amazing, that's lean and, just dominates and eats the competition, doesn't matter what it is. And it's, maybe under $300 shipped to your door. What is that? It's a Badger. It's lean, it's mean, it's efficient, it's badass. And so we said, let's Badger Barrel. It's perfect. So then it's kind of evolved into, and we've created a lot of assets and a lot of videos, and it's a fun brand. It really is meant to be fun, and something that the consumer wants to be a part of. And I think that, regardless of where you sit politically, there's I think so many people are tired of the politics, and they're tired of pandering to different things, and are kind of longing for a brand that really knows who their demographic is and stays true to it. And that's something that we've said, this is the perfect opportunity to be proud of wearing Badger Barrel apparel or a hat, and it really stand for something that it's an awesome product, it's quality, it's great price point. It absolutely does not speak corporate greed like we've seen, and it speaks its own mind, and it's fun, and it does it in a funny way through the videos that points out a lot of the craziness that you see. But the Badger Barrel uses, use your brain and use a little common sense, and focus on the important things in life.
Was that also designed, Noah, for lack of a better word, tailgating, that type of thing, because it is lighter. It's a little smaller than the big pit barrel and that type of thing. Did you have that in mind when you worked on that?
Absolutely. And with this, we wanted this to be mobile, again, at a better price point that is just more affordable to more people. And you can take more places. It collapses down. If you want to just do the hibachi, you can clamp the lid on, and you take the midsection out. Even if you put the midsection in, it's light enough that it's easily you can easily move it around and tailgate, take it over to someone else's place. But we want to be able to tap into every demographic and age group. I think it may lend itself a little bit better to the younger demographic. But I mean, if you like a good deal and you like some of the best food you've ever tasted, it's probably in your demographic too.
Well, when I looked at it, and I happen to have, thank you, no, I have two of them sitting, I was telling Leanne, in the foyer of our house here, but those are for special events that were coming up. What struck me is, if you've got maybe couples or whatever, or somebody got their first apartment, or they got their first rental house, whatever, they're getting started in life, something like that is perfect for them, because like you said, it's light, it doesn't take up a lot of space, you can do a multitude of things with it. And if you're 22 or 24 and you're getting your first place and you want to have your friends over, bam, there it is. It's just perfect for that.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And again, it probably will settle somewhere around a $249 price point. So $249 for a product shipped to your door that is just outstanding, and again beats the competition. And cookers that are smokers that are thousands of dollars, that's a no-brainer. That's good value.
Sure. Well, yeah, and I just think it's a great
and cooking over charcoal, nothing better. I mean,
yeah.
but yeah, it is. That's a great value.
For sure.
Well, the other thing is, you can spend that much money and more and go to a big box store and buy a gas grill, which is fine. I use them. I use everything just like Leanne does. But that $249 you're going to spend on the, if you will, and $300 to your door with Badger, or even with the pit barrels, they're going to last a lot longer than those 0.1 gauge steel gas grills that you buy at the big box. You're going to get a season out of those, maybe two, and then you're going to have to replace parts if you can get them, and so on and so forth. So I just really see the value in this.
No doubt. And again, at the price point of $249, I mean, there's not many things you can get shipped to your door that you're going to use in that capacity that is that price and that value. So even if the thing got run over in the course of living like a Badger and cooking and going and tailgating and hanging out with friends and doing all the stuff that you should be doing, and enjoying life. Things are going to happen. And when it does happen, it's not a matter of the ceramic lid broke and you're looking at, hundreds and hundreds of dollars to fix and wait. It's not a big deal. You could always order another one and it's not going to break the bank.
Is there a Badger mascot for the sports teams? Because you could definitely focus in. It seems like there has to be somebody that has the Badgers, and then they could have their Badger cooker.
Yeah, the Wisconsin Badgers.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, they're big and into it, and no doubt, and we love that. We have if you go to our website, you can see it's and it's fun. It's good, clean fun. If and the motto is, Badgers, not butterflies. So if you're a butterfly, you need your hand held. You can't decide which side of the fence you want to be on. Things like that. That's kind of what it's about.
That's funny.
But if you go to the website, one of the first things that pops up is, this quick, are you sure you're not a badger, or, sure you're not a butterfly rather? And if you aren't sure, you can click on it. It takes you to this video that is the badger for all the videos that we do. And it's really fun. And we're going to launch that. We did a soft launch, but we're going to do more of a larger launch when we have more of the product, and that arrives, kind of right before barbecue season. So
sure.
Right.
Yeah,
sure. Absolutely. We're talking with Noah Glanville from Pit Barrel Cookers and Badger Barrels. And we're going to take a quick break here on the network, and we're going to be back on Barbecue Nation with myself and Ms. Whippen and Mr. Glanville right after this. Stay with us. Welcome back to Barbecue Nation. If you'd like to reach out to us, very easy. Leanne and I are all over Facebook, respectively, for the show, and then our own different pages. And we have Instagram and Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, LinkedIn, all those things. So you can reach out to us there, or you can just go to the website and send us an email from there. It's all very good. Today we're talking with my good friend Noah Glanville from Pit Barrel Cookers. You and I were talking last week, Noah, about we're going to switch gears here on everybody, about the business. And in a general question, what did COVID and the COVID shutdown teach you and your staff there at Pit Barrel?
Boy, that's a big one to unpack.
Yeah,
Jeff.
it is.
You got 9 minutes, so
yeah. I mean, I guess if I put the CEO lens on it, it unmasked a lot of things, and I used the word corporate greed a little earlier, and ultimately, I don't think there's ever been a display of corporate greed like what COVID showed. And really driving up inflation and people raising prices unwarranted. It's like, hey, there's no reason for this. This doesn't make sense. This commodity or product didn't go up. Why are we seeing an increase? And quite simply, it's because everyone's raising their prices or shipping. But it did really made companies ultimately you either grew significantly, and then as a result, you over forecasted because you thought it was going to continue to happen. And in the grill industry, and among many other industries, there's just been a surplus of consumer goods. And I don't think it really matters what it is. If you're in this consumer goods space, most companies way over forecasted. And then, so speaking from this industry, what we've seen is we didn't way over forecast, but what hurt us was the, gas grills, for example. If there's and other products and other brands that aren't necessarily gas grills, some charcoal, they had a good relationship with their retailers, mom and pop retailers, and they ended up, there's this huge surplus. The manufacturer, the brand has to try to clear it out. And in many cases, all of a sudden these retailers are seeing the products that they're selling online for, in many cases, cheaper than what they paid for it.
Mhm.
And
Right.
because they've got to move it, and that puts the mom and pop retailer in a really bad spot, of course.
Mhm.
And we've been able to, as I've always said, in order to keep the lights on, we don't have to supply 500,000 gas grills. And I'm really glad that we're in that boat. Small family owned business still. We want to grow responsibly. So, in some cases, yeah, we have a little bit more product, but than we'd like, but that didn't kill us. I think, the workforce, we were fortunate enough to see that we needed to scale down. And, we started doing that, 18 to 24 months ago, really reducing our overhead. And I think that, and I say this now, gosh, if we didn't make that adjustment, that would have been detrimental. And you see, and you don't have to look far to see all the CEOs that either, quit or were jettisoned from their organization in the last 3 years. How many CEOs of big companies that have left and moved on? There's been some serious headwinds that have been really challenging for companies. And then you have, that those are, real cost, logistics and shipping and warehousing.
Right.
And then you have the employees that, are in many cases sometimes incentivized at one point to stay home, and then now that's kind of leveling out a little bit more.
Mhm.
I think it's very tough. We had another friend of the show, and of course he's been on a multitude of times. Will Homer from Painted Hills Beef was on a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about the same thing, that because we asked him, like, how did the beef prices in particular, because he can answer that, jump from to X plus 5 in a very short period of time. And he had an explanation for that, but I don't think it was an explanation that people really wanted to hear, because a lot of it mirrors what you were saying. They were paying prior to COVID and stuff, and actually during COVID, they were paying, I'm going to make up some numbers here. They were paying 97 cents a pound for live cattle that they put into their program, feed out, do all that, and send them down the road. Now they're having to pay $1.15, and you say, well, that's what, 20 cents difference. But do that on 60,000 pounds of beef a week, and do the math out. It becomes a huge number. And what you've also seen is versus online stuff. And you do see a lot of online, soft goods, if you will, food being sold this way now too. But you also see it to where, like Will was saying, they don't want to put that ribeye steak now is actually costing $23 a pound. They don't put that in their flyers. They don't put that in their advertising. They're trying to push the lower meats to do that, to keep it under $20, because they figured $20 is, the retailers, the big chain retailers, feel that $20 is a breaking point mentally for people when they go shopping. So there's some correlations there. And like you as a manufacturer in that, same with the producers in the food side of it, they got this jumped up on them by the big guys, and they couldn't stop it, really. It was tough. Go ahead,
On a
Leanne, I'm
separate
sorry.
note, I'm just curious, with the all your inventory that you had to sit on, did you find, as I see, you said people were lowering their prices to below cost to even the wholesale price. Did you have to put your products on sale because of that? Were you forced into it to kind of get rid of the inventory, and that help you stay afloat, so you have some money coming in?
Short answer, Leanne, is yes. And I think psychologically, one of the things that happened is because of the mass surplus of inventory, everyone had deals. So, I mean, it trained the consumer that, and I mean, it's still to this day, people do not want to buy unless there's a deal, unless there's
Right.
15, 20% off. You know, they want a deal. No one's paying sticker price. And it's really tough to do that. So, you know, I don't want to see competitors go out of business. And I think, you know, the more I look at, you know, competitors and competitions is a good thing. You know, whether it's PK Grills, you know, bring somebody into charcoal grilling for the first time, that's great, because, you know, eventually I think we're going to be able to, if you're open to charcoal cooking and getting your hands dirty, we're probably going to have an opportunity at that same consumer at some point. Not, so I look at it a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
I think that where it's a little bit disheartening is when a brand has grossly overcharged, and that's where something I'm proud that we haven't done that. If you look at our accessories and you look at our products and our price point, we've always been really fair. And one of the ways we're able to be very fair is we are primarily online. So, you know, the big box retailer doesn't take their cut, and, you know, we're able to provide more value directly to the consumer. But when you see other brands that, you know, have charged, you know, $50 for a, you know, for a spatula,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden they're selling it for a quarter of the price. You know, and that may not be the best example, but any product that's at premium, and then all of a sudden it's way less, you know, consumers they're not fools, and they look at it and say, wait a second, how for all those years did you just grossly overcharged your customer
Right.
just for a brand, because now all of a sudden you're able to offer these 40-60% off sales, and they're consistent, but they also can't get out of it, because once you've gone down to a certain price, it's very difficult to raise back up. And if you do, your sales go down for a while until you lower your price back down, and then you get your sales. So, you know, I think that's starting to balance out a little bit more. But, you know, the consumer still wants they want to shop and buy smart, and everywhere. I mean, how many emails do you get a day from, you know, all the different big box retailers that are offering, you know, I mean, they're making up new holidays for reasons to buy, and
Yeah.
and things, you know. So it's not just, you know, Cyber Day and you know, Black Friday, and, you know, day after Thanksgiving. It's almost every day. There's once a week there's some you know, catchy thing that, you know, they're offering deals. So that's, everyone's realized that's kind of the new playing field.
Absolutely. We're going to take another break. We're going to come back in a couple of minutes with Noah Glanville from Pit Barrel Cookers, and with Leanne and myself on Barbecue Nation right after this. Welcome back to the Nation. I'm JT with Leanne, and today we're talking with Noah Glanville. We'd like to again thank the folks at Painted Hills Natural Beef the way nature intended. Go to their website and look around. If you can't, they have a store locator there, and if you can't find something near you, you can order from them. They have a select menu, you might say, on their website. They don't sell everything that they put out in the retail stores, but it's there. And also, pig powder, best rub on the planet, according to those in the know. And that
That's right.
happens to be Leanne's deal, created by her father. And now,
As Noah said, 'tis the season. Get ready to grill.
Tis the season. Go to pigpowder.com, and Leanne will make sure you get your whatever size you order. She did run out of pictures, though. We have to get her some more pictures to autograph and send with each order, but we're working on that.
I'm actually almost out of the big 24 ounces for a while.
Yeah, oh, don't say that.
Yeah, I am.
Don't say that.
Yep.
Well, we'll put it in a baggie and send it to him.
Okay.
There you go. Anyway, let's get back and talk some more with Noah Glanville from Pit Barrel Cooker. No, when you got out of the military and started Pit Barrel, that was quite a while ago now, and you went through all your prototypes and finally got the first one out there, and then you started doing the accessories and all that, and that all takes time and it takes determination to get there. Um, but when you did that, did you think you would be where you are today when you started, or was it just a hope?
I've got that question a few times, and I think the best way to answer it is, I knew that I knew the product was fantastic. And even to this day, and I'm of course the best salesman of our own product, but to this day, the truth of the matter is there's not another product on the market, period, that cooks food the way this thing does, and let alone price point. We're not, and I've said this before, we're not a company that's had, a huge capital injection to kind of with a bunch of horsepower deliver a message and marketing. Our best customers are our best salespeople are our customers, and so that allows us to grow organically, and thank God that's been our motto, because we might have been in a real pickle after COVID if we were much larger. So I believe things happen for a reason. And where we are in size, and we'll live to fight another day. We were able to reduce costs, overhead, and as we continue to grow, and I think with Badger Barrel, it's a really good time to introduce something into the market with a certain attitude that I think is just teed up perfectly for what people are looking for now.
Yeah. I was at the Jack last fall with Leanne, and we did a live show from Byron's place, and she was a judge and I was a tourist with my wife, and a couple of in-laws came along. And so when I went out on the infield one morning, and I was looking, it wasn't the day of the competition, it was the day before, but I was looking at everybody's cookers and talking to them, and some of them we'd had on the show the night before, and then there was some other people around the periphery. Most of them were all in the competition, but I was really kind of amazed to see the number of different types of barrel cookers. Competition is healthy, but when I would stop and talk to them, they all had, well, the airflow is changed in this and that and blah, blah, blah. And some of it kind of made sense as far as competitive cooking. I'll put it that way. But not a lot of it made sense to me. And that's not just because I'm your friend, Noah, but not a lot of it made sense to me for the backyard. You know what I mean? There was a lot of, there was some bells and whistles, and some of them looked kind of cool. Some of them looked like some sort of contraption out of a 1950s movie where, the evil scientist had created something there and that. And I just wanted to get your take on that, because to me, pit barrel is so simple, but so effective. And I want to get Leanne's take on that too. But, to me, always simple has been better, instead of trying to make things too complicated. We have enough complicated crap in our daily lives to deal with, period. Okay.
Sure.
Enough of the speech, but I wanted to get your take on that.
I think there's probably two things going on there. One is, the only way it might make sense is if you were trying to get around a thing called intellectual property. So if you say, I mean, at the end of the day, an intake, and it is an intake, whether it's a snorkel, a long tube, it's still bringing air in. And our company has proven that, we'll go to the mat 100% of the time over our IP. The other reason would be is if you just like to be the mad scientist and have fun and have a contraption that you feel good about building, and so long as you build only one of them and it's for yourself, there's not a problem. I say that. But no, I say, and I'm serious about it. We're not in this business, as a hobby. It's how we feed our family. and we're serious about it.
Sure.
And I came literally off the battlefield as a warrior and a medic to doing this. So, you know, I've always been passionate and serious about, you know, anything that I'm doing. And yeah, so.
Okay. Well, Leanne, I wanted to get your take on that too.
About the other barrels being out there in the
Well,
market.
no, not about other barrels. I mean, anybody can do that. But I mean, the one like Noah was saying, the snorkel pipes going down the side, or some of them had fans in the top, and this
I
type of.
think that people that know people and talk to people are going to know that the pit barrel is the one, because, you know, it's tried and true. People have used it. And I think, I don't know, most people that are really into barbecue, they're serious and they aren't going to get caught up in that gadgetry, I guess you would call
Yeah.
it. They want really good food. And
Right.
so they know they're going to get it here. But of course, there's going to be the people that, you know, want to, you know, be funny and this and that, but which is all fine. But anyway,
Well,
that's my take.
I have a little more of a cynical take on it. And
Here we go.
I will share with you. When I looked at all those barrels and was walking away, and of course, my crew was walking beside me, but as usual, I'm off in the weeds thinking about something. I thought all those things that I saw today were just shortcuts designed maybe to cut down on time for the competition. I understand that, but they're also shortcuts about not really knowing and understanding the whole process of like pit barrel and the cook and all that. And you know, you put a fan in it, you do this thing, you got goldfish swimming around on the outside with suntan lotion on. I don't know what the hell they had, but they had a lot of it. And my point is, I just don't think that really is a good thing if you really want to learn to cook in a barrel on charcoal. That's me. I think
Well, it is if Pit Barrel puts the fish tank on for
well,
you.
that's true. If Noah puts one on there, then I'll say it's okay. All right. But
anyway, grilling's supposed to be fun, so
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, and I'm not ripping on him. I mean, more power to him. But I just think that you're kind of missing the point of really understanding the cook and how, because you know what it's like when Meathead and I get on here, we get the mad scientist crap comes out, and so it's. I just looked at it like that. I guess with enough disdain to like, that's great, but you're kind of missing the point of all this too. So that was my take.
You know, and that's fair. I think out of fairness to anyone that builds it, and there's some good products out there. You know, Tim at Gateway, I know him. He's a good guy, and you know their product is, some would say, it gives you the snorkels and more vent, you know, adjustments. It gives you more options and control over the heat. Now, where I would beg to differ just a little bit is any of those folks, yes, you have the ability to easily change the intake and the ventilation, but your real cooking, you don't mess with it. It really ends up staying. And you could ask any of those guys, and they know this same spot that they adjusted to. And it's really, the science of it is, if you were to crack the lid or offset it just so slightly, the coals really get hot because only so much air is allowed in as what's allowed out. So what, we originally did is we figured out taking it to sea level all the way up to, gosh, I want to say like 12,000 feet, was that you only needed so much of a ventilation, and the air intake was really about the amount of oxygen that you allow in. So we figured that out. And the only difference really is with our cooker, we had to make the decision that if we want to create something that is truly a set it and forget it, that it really limits the amount of air that was even possible for someone new or even a seasoned, professional, would be the ability to shut it down completely. And that was a tough one. And so if someone is to say, hey, what's if you had to talk bad about your product or one of the worst things, what would it be? On the pit barrel, it's, you can't shut it down completely. You don't have that ability. But the pros of it is it's a fraction of the cost of some of those other cookers. It's porcelain coated. The paint's not going to fail on you. You know, we did the high temperature paint and the powder coating, 14 years ago, and
Right.
realized that that's not a long-term solution. So I would really not feel comfortable charging someone $1,000 for something that they're going to come back and be frustrated that the paint peeled. I'd rather charge someone $300, have it be some of the best value, porcelain coat it properly, and the thing lasts a long time. You adjust your vent, per your elevation, and it yields some of the best food. So yeah, I mean, to Leanne's point, we're the original. It works. It's great value. And again, good competition. If someone's willing to spend $1,000 on the product, their neighbor's probably going to buy ours because it's a fraction of the cost, and it works just as good or better, and it's easier, and it's going to last longer.
Absolutely. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and wrap up the show, and Noah is going to stick around for after hours. You're listening to BBQ Nation on the USA Radio Network. Stay with us. Welcome back to BBQ Nation. I'm JT with a frog in my throat as usual. It's spring. It is springtime, so my allergies have come home from their winter vacation. We'd like to thank the Oregon Crab Commission for supporting this show and the Grilling at the Green show, which Leanne and I are doing some TV stuff on there. It's great from sea to plate. Check out the Oregon Dungeness Crab Commission. Now, we've been talking with Noah Glanville from Pit Barrel Cookers. And you've been asked this question, I'm sure, a dozen times too, Noah, but how did your training and your experiences in the military, and we've talked about lots of stuff over the years, you and I have, but how did that help you when you decided to actually start Pit Barrel? And was the tenacity that you learned, you may have had it as a child, we didn't know each other then, but what the tenacity that you learned in the military help you get to this point also?
Yeah, I think I always had a good work ethic. I was always working, and from as soon as I could go knock on the neighbor's door and ask them if they'd give me a job doing anything, I would go do it. So I always liked that. But I think that something that there's a lot of, we could talk for hours about all the great things and the leadership that the military gives you. And, I highly recommend it for anyone that, if they're not sure what they want to go do, I think that the military is such a great place to go and learn about leadership. And you might, for a few years, even after, say, oh, I wouldn't want to do that again. And I wouldn't want to go do it over again, but I'm really glad I did it. And what I learned, and the pinnacle, I think, is, and I don't recommend, and I don't wish it upon anyone, going to war, but truly experiencing war in the fog of war and seeing, good people, get hurt, and innocent, civilians, and, the fog of war. And if you get to that point and you see that, and you're losing people that you care a lot about, those are really bad days. And there's not many things that you could face in business that, and I'll still say it, and I say it all the time. Hey, whatever I'm facing, I say, well, I've been through worse. And sometimes I have to say, have I been through worse? And oh yeah, I definitely have. This is, I've definitely been through worse. I can get through this. And to always have that in your back pocket, that you've experienced and persevered and made it through something that is far worse than anything you're going to experience in your normal business day. But there's different things, and there's different things to navigate. And the bigger you get, I say it's like sitting at a blackjack table, and when you're small, things are relative. If it's a $5 bet, you're putting your $5 out there. But when you're putting, several $100s out there as a minimum bet, I don't do that. But when you do, the stakes are higher,
right.
And and you could lose a lot more. So that's what I mean by the inventory. People think, well, you're growing and you're getting really big. That cuts both ways, as you could ask many different companies that are sitting on a lot of inventory and trying to figure out what they're going to do with it.
I wanted to ask you too. We've got about 5 minutes left, and we will pick this up in after hours, Noah. But when you guys are working on recipes, because you've got recipes out there, a lot of them, you didn't just say, "Here's the barrel, cook something in it." Are you the one doing that, or I know that your wife helps you sometimes? I'm sure she goes, "This is great," or "This is not so good." I've spoken to her a few times over the years, and I can see her telling you when something's not very good. So kind of like my wife. But tell us about your recipe development. I mean, you have to be creative to do recipes. Leanne does them all the time. I do them every, third Tuesday of the leap year. So what about that?
Sure. So initially, yes, I was very much involved in those solid core cooks, tri-tip chicken, prime rib, turkey, ribs, your big staples, right? And a very simplistic, basic way to use our seasoning and our rub to do that. And then as time goes on, you want you want different ideas and flavors and things to introduce, which is what's fun about cooking. I think we've been fortunate to get to a point where a lot of the ideas and the creativeness comes from the consumer or influencers or people that are on YouTube that have the product and know how great it cooks, but want to show a different style or a different way to use the all-purpose hanger basket.
Sure.
That's something that I'm waiting for someone to do, like this killer smoked meatloaf in that all-purpose basket that could just be killer. But things like that that make it fun. And we get recipes and things from a lot of different sources. So the long answer to your question, Jeff, is no. I don't do a lot of those fancier recipes. I'm kind of a meat and potatoes guy, where dry rub and I don't get super fancy with it, but it's somehow most of the people, they're either lying to me or telling me that they truly love it. So it's one of the two.
Leanne, I'm thinking I could do that Northwest Wellington thing I conjured up a couple of weeks ago. I can do that in a pit barrel and see how that works out.
You should try it. Yeah, I would definitely make that again.
Yeah.
And I am very excited that I have a pit barrel now, and I am going to break it out. Not this weekend because it's Easter and I have to go see my mommy, but I'm very excited. Been wanting this for a while, so
I'm sorry. I think I promised it like 2 years ago or something.
Yeah. Good things come to those who wait.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's right.
So last question, or hopefully the last question you're thinking, what's been your biggest positive takeaway from creating and running Pit Barrel for 16 years, Noah?
Probably balancing the line of, my boys, they see, I hope, and it's a hope that, they're now, 11 and 12 years old. But, there's been times where they've said, Dad, I don't know if I want to be an entrepreneur. If this is what an entrepreneur looks like, I don't know if this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then there's other times that, they've seen that, I mean, my wife and I, we said when we first started out, okay, our plan, I mean, this is just was the conversation, and, sophisticated or not, it was, we're going to work our tails off for 5 years. And in 5 years, our kids are going to be at an age where they're starting to do sports and they're starting to do different things. And we want to create a lifestyle that allows us, and not that we don't work hard, but a lifestyle that allows us to not miss any sporting event, and be able to navigate and choose that. And that was our goal. Literally, that was it. And and we were going to work hard. We never thought about, a company that we were going to build and be able to sell, or getting really rich off of it. We thought we're going to keep our prices fair. It's going to be a quality product. We know that it is. And it's going to be, it should make us a decent living that will allow us to really be able to focus on our kids. And it's done that. And so I think, and we talk about that quite a bit, and that how fortunate we are that, we're not having it where you live in a great little town. We don't have to drive down to the valley and be stuck in commute traffic. And what so many people have to do. And provide I think a pretty fun, cool place to work. And, we're lean certainly, but our kids get to see us work in that capacity, also give back and navigate this. And, they see, a couple people that, what do we know? And we've somehow been able to make it work. So, it's given them, I think, hope that they can go out. I don't think they fully understand the value of a dollar like I did when I was younger, but we keep our finger on them, and it allows us to really focus on them a lot. So
excellent. Noah Glanville, real quick, Noah, tell people how they can find Pit Barrels. What's the website and stuff?
Probably the easiest way would be go right to pitbarrelcooker.com. Look at the dealer locator. If there's a retailer close to you, always recommend keeping your business local. If not, you can certainly order online and get it through Amazon, homedepot.com, and of course our website.
Sure. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. That's going to wrap the show for this week. Leanne and I will be back next week. Noah is sticking around for after hours. So go out there, cook some good food, have some fun, and do what we say, turn it, don't burn it. Until then, take care, everybody. Everybody, welcome back to Barbecue Nation. This is the After Hour segment, and we've got Noah Glanville from Pit Barrel Cookers with us today. This is where we can talk about stuff that doesn't go on the radio, Noah. So this is kind of what we were talking about last week, which is all good.
Good deal.
In the regular show, you brought up about corporate greed and all that. And I want to take that one step further. We don't need to name any names or anything. That doesn't do anybody any good. But I was really shocked and kind of a looking back last, 3.5 years or whatever, to see, especially in the barbecue business, and this is what you and I were talking about, some of these larger companies had a huge amount of inventory because they looked at COVID like it's never going to go away. The pandemic was never going to go away. People were going to be locked up in their homes for years and that type of thing. And obviously they've never been if they thought that way, that was a mistake in my thinking, because people are pretty resilient and they don't want to be cooped up, and they'll only take so much of things, and we don't need to talk about it, but it's that way across the whole landscape of politics and in human life. And especially in this country now, people are kind of fed up with things like that. But I was surprised about, and Leanne can attest to this too, we're talking about influencers and things like that. I noticed a lot of companies got rid of, quote unquote, the professional people, went to influencers. And then as that has kind of started to run its course a little bit, it'll never go away, but as it started to run its course, they got rid of some of those influencers. And I noticed now they're all going back to, or getting involved in, the online, like you were saying in the regular show, discounts. I can't turn on my computer every day without getting pummeled by a barbecue company or a pots and pans company or something like that, because that's the business I'm in. I look at them all the time. So I get inundated with these ads. I would have thought, and this is what I wanted your take on. I would have thought people would have had a little more farsightedness to say, we need to temper our reaction to the COVID pandemic in that as we go forward, instead of going, hey man, this is going to last forever. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's
He's
a lot to
thinking
unpack
about
too.
it.
Yeah, I know,
He's thinking about it.
You know, I mean, I think that the best way to put it is, you know, our culture and our country is, you know, we're our own worst enemy by far.
Yeah.
You know, we will. There's other cultures that are much better at dimming the lights and conserving and riding out the hard times, and we are the exact opposite of that, to the extreme. We are not okay with dimming the lights. We are not okay with holding out. But you know, we're also, you know, and history has proven, you know, we have to get hit in the face with a 2x4 for us to realize, whoa, okay, that hurt. And then because of the key word here, we have a sense of humor, we're able to always rebound back. And, you know, if you look at, you know, some of the things that makes our special forces community so amazing is the fact that they have a sense of humor. I think other cultures and other countries, and they don't put that sense of humor lens on it. And the sense of humor is what gets you through really hard times. And
Right.
so, you know, I think that we'll ride right up to the wall, and then, you know, hope that there's another plan, or, you know, a bailout. I mean, there was a lot of people very skeptical of, you know, is our country going to go into a recession? And so far, somehow we've seemed to avoid it. You know, you could talk to certain people and they'd say, well, no, we're not out yet. Here's X, Y, and Z of what's still looming that we haven't dealt with, and what's coming back. But, you know, it that sense of humor makes us so resilient. And, you know, the Fed raising the interest rates, I mean, we needed to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
And things were way out of control. You know, I worry about shipping costs. Those are things that, you know, we still have an election coming up, and, you know, again, doesn't matter what side you sit on, the winner will not have won and the loser will not have lost. That's going to be the bottom line. And you're going to have a lot of, you know, discontent and things. And so we got to get over that. But, you know, those things, like it or not, have a serious effect on trade and shipping costs, and what, you know, what container costs will do.
Right.
And which ultimately drives up, you know, anything that's made in China or overseas, which is most everything, is driven by those kinds of things. So, you know, I think, you know, all we can do is, you know, each day be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, we're doing the right things by the consumer. We provide a good quality product. We're fairly priced. We offer, you know, a good fair margin to the retailers that want to bring the product in and care about boots on the ground. But that's, you know, that's also been a landslide of, you know, through COVID. And even before that, it's put the retailers in a really interesting spot. And the retailers aren't quite sure which side they want to be on. Do they want to sell things online, or do they truly want to be there to support the customer when they walk in the door and have something there, and give a reason? And that's something we've recently taken a different approach to the retailers and said, you know what, let's make the investment and dip even further into our pocket on margin to give the retailer a really good margin and the ability to give someone the reason to, you know, they literally undercut us online, and they give that customer, that local person, a reason to drive down to the store and actually buy it versus just having it delivered. So, you know, we're trying that with the retailers, but the caveat to that is you can't just go online and sell it for, you know, an undercut, because you're essentially screwing over all the other retailers that are trying to make a living doing that.
Right. No, it's tough. I mean, I know that my family's history, they had a retail store for 20 odd years, and they got lucky in one respect, is the fact that the internet wasn't around when they finally retired, closed it down, and all that stuff. So they didn't have to do that. Their idea of a sale was you put an ad in the local newspaper, and that that was fine. That's what people did in those days. But now, with the push of a button, you can hit millions of people, and whether they're local or not, and you can say, whatever you want in the ad. Anyway, I just find it kind of interesting, just the way, and we're all focused on the barbecue business and the grill business and stuff, and so I just find it interesting the way some of our manufacturers handled that. Um, I think maybe they didn't know any better. I don't know. Maybe they had never been through something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think, and you try to remember certain key points. Everything that happens, it seems like if it's bad or good, I try to make a mental imprint of it to be able to tell my kids either now or down the road. And we talk to our kids all the time, and there's there's adults that tell us your kids, we have a better conversation with your kids than most adults. And it's like, well, if you only heard the conversations that we have with them. But there's we've always had grown-up conversations, and I think that COVID, it forced companies to make some really hard decisions, much greater than just general layoffs and downturns in the economy. I can't imagine a time when companies so over forecasted their products and consumer goods ever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden there was no place for it to go. The consumer wasn't buying, and what are they going to do with it? And and it's easy to point the finger at the purchasing agent or the CEO, ultimately responsible, or should be. But at the end of the day, there was more than one did it. There was a lot, and they thought this tremendous growth is going to keep going. And for some companies, it did. It did continue to go, but in any case, if it doesn't stay that way, you either grow to it's like an engine, and whether you're offering a service or manufacturing a good, that engine's got to get bigger, and it's more costly to keep that engine going to support that growth. And when it slows down, it's tough. And we always say you never, with your manufacturer or anything, you never want to completely turn off the hose. You want to try to find a way to keep, maybe you don't have it on as much, but you got to keep it down to a slow, steady flow. Otherwise your network, your everything walks away. Employees, people to work, suppliers, everything shuts down at that point. And that's happened for a lot of, it is happening for quite a few companies, and some hopefully have been able to figure out ways to dim the lights a little bit. And and I think in like what we've done, we've reduced costs significantly. We've scaled down so that we can still provide our product, but be ready for when things turn up again. We can we can plug in that bigger engine.
Yeah. Leanne, well, you've worked with a lot of different companies over the years. You don't need to name them for everybody, but what's your overview on this?
I mean, I agree. It was over forecasted, but people wanted to be prepared. COVID really just changed business as a whole and for the consumers. I do feel, however, we're coming out of it, and inventories, I think, are starting to decrease, and people are having new game plans. So it's I think people are nervous and they aren't over projecting. They just don't want to be caught again.
Right.
So better safe than sorry is the motto, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I like I said, if you look at stuff through a historical lens, as Noah was talking about, you could see that COVID wasn't going to go on forever. And the upshot of it was they kind of opened some new fields. The offset set of that was the over forecasting. So maybe we all learned our lesson on it. All right, let's do some fun things here. So no, I've been talking to you for what, 6 years or something like that now. What is the most disastrous thing you've cooked since I've known you in one of your pit barrels? That now this is your
that
your
was
fault.
A fun question.
Yeah, that this is your fault, not the pit barrel.
Noah, how much fun are you having now?
Yeah.
No, well, I can tell you definitively what it is. And we did this so quick. So if someone was to say, well, what's the worst thing you can cook in a pit barrel? And honestly, I think the video might still be up. I don't know if we got rid of it or took it down, but we thought that I've never cooked anything that wasn't just delicious in the pit barrel. That being said, we said, okay, hey, St. Patrick's Day is coming up. Let's do a corned beef in the pit barrel, and that'll be a good video to do. So we did it. I'm wearing this green shirt, and it was a full-on production video. Is one of the ones we intertwined with. So it wasn't done on the cheap. It was script laid out, teleprompter, just the key points and doing it upright, and cooked this thing and had never cooked one before. Just assumed it was going to be great. Cooked it and tasted the thing, and it was awful. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what in the world? If something must have happened. Like, what'd you guys do to this thing when I wasn't looking? And so I would say that is by far the most disastrous thing I've cooked. Now, I just hung it, and then later, foiled it, because of that, it's basically brisket. And so to think that thing's gonna, even though it's, traditional, corned beef, if you wrap it, it's much better. But, that was probably one of the most, kind of funny things that happened, because, we're rolling, going a million miles an hour, production video and all that. We're like, we'll throw this in here. And I throw a green shirt on, and we do this, and it ended up not being very good. So it was kind of embarrassing, but yeah.
Did you soak it first?
It was traditional.
Well, they usually come in some.
Yeah, it's
right.
Like not pickled, but it's
yeah, it's a brine.
Yeah,
it's brine.
Brine. And so that's how it came, and got it at the grocery store, and thought, oh, well, this will be great. We'll take it out and throw some hooks in it. Because I thought, boiling, meat and things like that. It just, charcoal grill, and that'll be perfect. But
yeah.
Not so.
Yeah, that's okay. We've all done it. So, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot that way, but I do like to hear those stories. But another question, really, is that snow outside on the ground?
No, it's I think just probably the reflection, but it will snow here from time to time.
No, that's good. It
does look like snow.
Yeah, it does kind of look like snow. That's why what I asked. If you were going to give some advice to people starting in the barbecue business, and they had a product, not a barrel cooker, but a different product, they came up with something, and it's kind of unique, and it's clever, and it's fun, and it works, most importantly, what would Noah Glanville's advice to them be?
Probably to see if they can align with a manufacturer that knows the business, and it can scale properly.
Yeah.
That's been our biggest, I shouldn't say struggle. That's just been our focus for many years. We doubled for the first, I don't know, handful of years. So when you're doubling, your assholes and elbows trying to keep up and find the next facility that can do it and keep up, and materials, and it's just a logistic full-time job. And so you end up, if you have a good product, you end up spending so much of your time really in operations versus sales and
Yeah.
marketing and building the brand. So,
Mhm.
and I still, to this day, I still do a lot of stuff in, have my finger on the pulse in operations and logistics and, any, especially these days, if you're solely going off of what the spreadsheet, the purchasing agent or, whoever in the in the organization is reporting up to the CEO and saying, this is what we recommend. You've either been fired or you left with your tail between your legs, because you better be looking at it personally. I don't care how big a company you are. I mean,
Mhm.
you could be some of the biggest, and those CEOs, if they're running it right, they've got their finger on the pulse.
Sure. So
Yeah.
last question for you, buddy. Amber ever walk into your office, put her hands on your desk, look you in the eye and say, "What were you thinking?"
Yeah, I don't think she has to do that. I don't think she has to do that exactly. We work really well together, and I wouldn't have it any other way. We love working together, and that's also part of, that's part of the story. That the kids see their mom and dad working together, and you talk to some spouses and they say, "Oh my God, we'd kill each other. I wouldn't want, I couldn't stand working with him or my wife or something." And I mean, I wouldn't want it any other way. We know what's going on, and there's there's good things and bad things to that. The bad part is both of us know too much, and we got to say, hey, let's enjoy dinner, and we don't have to talk about work. And we've gotten, we've been so many years at it that,
Sure.
as far as that goes. But I know when, I know the some of the biggest mistakes I've made in business and things that have cost money, and so
I understand. Noah Glanville from Pit Barrel Cooker. Again, Noah, tell everybody where they can find you.
sure. Pitbarrelcooker.com, or we saw on Amazon. But again, I always say check the retailer locator and see if there's a place close to you that sells the product. There's a lot of them out there.
Excellent. Excellent. Noah, thank you. Thank you for your generosity for all my little charitable endeavors, and
you're welcome.
for Leanne there.
Yes.
We'll expect a full
to it.
We will expect a full report, Leanne.
It just landed today, which is ironic that we're doing this the same day. I didn't even open the box yet. It's been like right before the show, and I wanted to tear into it, but I was like, I gotta get set up, so I'm gonna tear into it now.
Oh, there you go.
Well, good deal. And I don't know if you have my cell number, but I'd be happy to give it to you. And if you
don't do it while I'm recording. Don't do it. Wait till I turn off.
We'll do it after, as soon as the mics go off, because otherwise you're gonna have all kinds of phone calls.
Yeah.
Maybe you want them.
I still get phone calls. My number is still the same that it was when we had the logo plate with my cell number on the cookers 14 years ago.
Did you really do that?
So every once in a while I'll get phone calls, and that's okay. I know when they're calling, it's a customer that's been with us a long time.
Yeah, that's true. That's going to wrap it up for After Hours. For Leanne and myself and Noah, we thank you for listening. Take care. Go out there and cook something on your pit barrel if you have one. If not, get one and try to cook on that. You will learn. It's easy and fun. Until next week, I'm JT for Leanne. Follow our motto here: turn it, don't burn it, and take care, everybody. Thank you.